do you put that in? This is a supported child's pose.
Supported winter.
Yeah, so this would be, you can write something like that. So think of a couple of, it doesn't have to be, you're not scripting the entire class, but come up with a couple of sentences which would match how you would say and present the material you have, okay? So see how much time you have, try and write a couple at least. If you've got loads of time, you can script the whole class, right? So the time now, 12:30 maybe?
Yeah, it's 12:33.
So we'll give you until 12:40 to do this, 12:45.
Maybe around 7-10 minutes.
Okay, so back to this one. So warrior and variation.
I love like positive.
So did you post priority that maybe in each post maybe like a 5 long deep breath or something
Yeah,
like that? Yeah.
Fine.
Summer.
And this would be another.
I also like the snow breath.
I would
So-
do, like as breaks in between poses, I
Yeah.
would do the not the Uttanasana,
You mean a chair pose?
not the chair.
No, that's
Remember, we're already starting to go inside.
the one with the.
This one, just this one, Uttanasana.
Oh, standing forward fold. I'm just get used with the. Okay, so that you can end with that,
feels good on the
right?
back.
So like you can have standing.
Kind of like active but still restorative in its own.
Okay, so
So that is can be before this. Oh yeah, standing forward fold.
That gives me goosebumps every time I do it.
For 13 years, it's always I remember only English.
I
But
know
thank
that,
you. I need to go back to that Sanskrit anyway.
me too.
Yeah, but that is gonna have the variation because they can have some people just feel like to go
Yeah, or
below. Yeah, some people just go here. Some people just want to say hi. There is something that for the hip moving. So many things. Even that wide leg, almost wide leg.
Let her hold you.
Forward fold.
Like for women especially,
Okay,
like
so
So many things
down
that.
chopping that.
standing forward
Down
fold.
for a little while and just allow.
wide
Just allow.
But I love the feel how
Holding.
I would put the tree pose in there too.
Okay. Yeah.
But you might want to start with the tree pose because
Because-
that's like on the first chakra.
Right, exactly. And because since this one is already here, the head down, so then they can just go down slowly, down, 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 down.
So do first tree pose.
allow
Hold down and.
To reduce the cramp, this is all about to improving the blood circulation. If this is going to be triple here,
The leg, if nobody's pregnant, you can do the full Paschimottanasana. This is another position that
yeah, because that is going to be with the hip already, right? For
No, I'm talking about this one. Okay, this we would do in more like pregnant. You know, this one too.
don't worry. Don't worry that don't worry that when this is not for pregnant.
Yeah, so you can add
I
that.
try
you
to
can,
add more
You
the
can do
thing.
that
That's all.
inside because that's also like a position that takes you inward.
So that it should be like maybe after this one.
That's
Standing
also.
or just an option. Are you talking option altogether?
Okay. Do you remember how you do the class? You have to kind of take into consideration the asanas that it works on. So this is like you want to do it before you go on anything that's twisted, because the twisted or start to work on
You go
Manipura.
for
and this
200
is-
hours, right?
Yeah.
Right. Most of you can help more. I'm far away from 200 hours. It was like 13 years ago for me.
Okay. So you want to do that.
We can write a book.
You could throw it in the. I mean, you can put
Yeah,
it in the
it's true
warm
in
up.
that. Right. That's
But yeah, you want to have it at the beginning because it works only on the first and the second chakra.
You're talking about this one, the seated forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do you want to?
anywhere in the
I should do.
I want to give the other opinion into this one. If it's the class is in the morning, I don't know. But if it's the class in the morning, sometimes that our back is not that flexible yet. I would keep that to be very much after. But if this class is in the afternoon, you've been awake for the whole day. I think it should be fine to do anything for the back from the beginning of the class. So just only me. But anyway, it just can be both. Either in this or in this. But it should be like nothing wrong with that. It's still part of the flow.
Okay, so where do I put it? Sit it forward then. Before the flow, yeah? After the hip circle.
She says later. I don't know.
So before the...
To me, if you already started doing all of this, you're kind of starting to wake your back up. You're starting to wake it up. And after you wake it up, you easily can get in it.
But you see that Joe do that at the end of the session this morning.
Yeah, but this is our class, not Joe's.
Yeah, I know. But everything is have the reason why it is in order.
Okay.
You got what I mean? But that's why I said that there is no right or wrong for that. It is depend on what time and how your class is, the dynamic of the class as well. So you can put just maybe either here or here. I don't know. With a different color.
Floating sitting. Insert where you like.
Yes, insert where you like.
Insert where you like. Then forward.
Because for real, you know what? When I'm writing down this one, and when I have the class for real, I always just mix up because like shit, which one is come to my head first? I'm going for that, yeah.
But that's good. I mean, it's good that if you can do that. I have to have like a paper with me because I get crazy stressed out. Like what if I forget something? And I modify it, but I have to have the paper then. I'm wondering where to insert sit it forward fold.
I like our group is something. I like that the diversion of the idea is good. I like people just like like it's not fun.
Our sequence is incomplete.
Almost.
We want to do
to-
some, I like the Anjanyasana with the pyramid too. I think we're
You
gonna.
want to do it after the flow or when?
Yeah.
This is part of the flow.
Part of the flow.
Okay. So triangle. From triangle.
And then gonna be reverse, and then gonna be side angle, and then gonna be reverse, side angle, and then gonna be
Sorry.
I want to turn that in between. Somewhere in
Could be used
between.
for breath to here in breath work, but just to through the stretches, through the moon salutation, through the
Speed up.
Yep, we almost there. We come half of the class. Yes.
So enough. Let's go.
But it's not enough.
Okay, but you're thinking about it's about these 10 minutes. These 10 minutes are just talking about maybe probably that the meditation and that the long deep breathing.
Yeah. So what breathing you want?
Brahmari.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I also, for me, I also like
Yeah, but we have to do the feel nurtured and
because it kind of
Yeah.
words almost like
Okay. So
Because autumn is about
script. Oh gosh, we didn't even get to that. Script with feeling cues. Feeling cues.
last one, the feel.
actually that we can using like start from the beginning of the session when they're just talking. We'll be already in these 10 minutes.
So how would you talk?
Usually that I would just have to come up with the theme. The theme is the autumn. What kind of the autumn? That you need to explain to me more because in Thailand we don't have the autumn. So that's why I always just start like, what is this, the autumn feeling? Because we don't have this the autumn season in Thailand.
Okay. So it's
Yeah.
basically for me. I see it much the opposite of spring. So for example, spring. You have spring in Thailand.
Not really. summer rain and
Summer
winter.
rain. Okay. When is the rice sprouting? When is the season when everything is going back to life?
Rain season.
Rain season.
Anyways, you would think
Yeah.
that it is cold and you want something that's
To warm
Yeah.
yourself down.
that you feel
Right.
I don't know, covered by blankets and warmed up and nurtured.
That's the only
And
place where
So this is the time that you start to give yourself more of
Not
love,
going out. Period.
more of like that, more of the warmness. So that this could be the theme that the warmness flow somehow. So
okay, so
anything.
how do we talk during this
Didn't do it
class?
consciously, but realized like using words like blood and boom.
Start from here, lying down, instead of hand here, hugging yourself.
Them permission as well.
No, it should be that give love to yourself, and then it's gonna be talking about
it's just like,
the
because
cool.
it's almost like, it really reminds me of teaching fitness rooms. If you don't get to the point of stuff, people, you're not really doing people.
Is that recording everything?
No, time to time. But this time it says. So laying down, and then let's start from, okay, keep your eyes closed. I'm just talking about let me keep talking, okay? And then just keep your hands holding, keep your right arm on the toes.
Go inside
Feel the
yourself.
warmness, because it's this time that you need to love yourself just a little bit more. Take some deep breaths.
Interesting. I never looked at it that way.
Change the other side.
Imagine if you had like.
And now just keep your hand holding your heart. Feel the warmth that you give the love to your heart. Feel the warmth that you give the love to your
Apparently,
yoni.
enough Kapalabhati apparently will do that.
You
You'll
give the
find
love
out
to
what's your
every
name.
part.
I'm sure that if
And slowly from that, yes, to your womb, to what's hoo-ha, anything that.
Give yourself extra love.
The Guardian is actually not that
And warmth.
I already signed the book.
Yes.
There was one
And
that
tenderness.
discussed the whole topic about menstrual cycle awareness, and then you say apparently there is a number of companies and it keeps getting more.
And it's the same with you feel, I would say, you feel secure, you feel protected, you feel secured, nurtured.
Nurturing.
Not, I don't know, nurtured, like
Held, because the mother
yeah,
would mold
exactly,
you.
like you feel like
Help.
But then they also have an article that went into the other direction
Protected.
about women who rather would
you are in a safe place.
would be happily
I don't know.
go for hysterectomy because simply they are in so much pain, and I feel it. If someone told me
Feel free to insert whatever you want more. Insert whatever else you want more.
it's like, I mean, the doctor said we have a tour, and none of it worked.
Like you're back in the mother's womb.
Yeah, well, we can.
When Joe mentions script,
They're both very interesting.
what is be like a script? You need to explain to me more.
A script? This
Yes.
is like you write down your cues.
It's what you
It is
talk. Instead of like,
I don't know what I'm doing.
say like,
Do like this. Do like this.
Yeah, exactly.
it's not like you're in military anymore. You're like
Yes.
making it like a poem.
I don't have the other side of the coin, so I always find it very fascinating. And
So are you planning to teaching when you go back?
point the painful.
Are you already teaching?
Well, you can.
But you're based in Dubai, yeah?
I've heard
can
enough
do your-
stories that I can be
Oh, can be in Bari. Yes. I forgot. Yep.
did go through natural
12:46.
Yeah.
I think we should be ready.
I'll let you talk anyway. Who wrote that person talk?
Oh, really? No. Who talked the most?
Guys, 100%.
Because it's a symbol.
all shades of green.
Present spring, summer, autumn, and winter inner season sequences. Okay. Summer is ready. Spring's ready. Anna Maria, can I get you just to shift it over to?
Yeah, sorry, I was putting the crayons back.
Alright, starting with spring. Okay, so let's all come together now and
Okay.
listen.
So So I will talk then, and Marie that you add up.
Are we going?
All right, my love.
Okay, so ours is a like early spring yoga class. So we want people to feel like they've had a bit of a workout, but they're still relaxed, that their energy levels are rising, and our sort of, it's not so much a peak pose, but our kind of achievement pose will be half moon because it's bringing in a bit of balance. So we have yeah, we have a warm up with some Ujjayi breath, and then a really kind of flowing and dynamic warm up, very similar to what Joe taught us this morning. So really getting the movement, but in a sort of gentle flow, and then 4 rounds of Surya Namaskar, but moderate pace, so no like jumping back or jumping forward, but adding some like walking the dog and just keeping it very flowy. And then our standing sequence will have half pyramid and Janyasi, and
So it starts at the bottom and
Yeah.
then you're going up. So it's
Yeah.
like spring, your energy rises and you're going up to the more difficult asanas.
yeah, so just adding in like extended side angle, half full pyramid pose, stepping into half moon, warrior one, then tree pose, like working on that balance, and that can add in our feeling cues about feeling like a growing tree, reaching for the sun. Rising up, repeating that all on the other side, and then our seated low to the ground sequence will have forward fold, happy baby, the supine twists, Supta Baddha Konasana, then legs up the wall as a restorative posture, so not quite doing inversions yet. The supported half bridge to start preparing people for when they're in their summer and wanting to do a full wheel, so we've got a little bit of back opening there. Then moving into our pranayama, so Nadi Shodhana to balance the energy after sort of coming out of the winter, and then ending with Shavasana.
Great. Thank you.
Which is all about the words.
Yeah, so the words are about feeling grounded, reaching for the sun, feeling your energy rising within you, feeling fluidity, rising from the ground up. So like bringing in those kind of spring-like metaphors of like new growth, like new life, like coming up from the ground.
Great. Thank you, Spring. Okay, so let's move to summer.
Both because they're already teachers. Our theme is just do it.
Just do it.
We'll just come with the Nike.
Sponsored by
Nike. Obviously, it's a sponsored class by Nike. Just do it. It's summer yoga. Feel the burn.
Snickers.
So the measuring is probably just close your eyes for maybe 1 minute, and then straight away we move to Bhasmika. Because you're in summer, you need to feel the burn, and then you do warm up all the joints, but the warm up will also be hard warm ups like some mini push ups here, some core work, and then of course then we give them a short rest with some sun salutation again 4 times and sun salutation. But if they're Ashtanga teachers,
It's a
maybe
punishment.
they're
Punishment to be back to life.
Standing where we start with a short Padasana, but then we do the whole warrior sequence from warrior 1 straight to 3, straight to 2, straight to exalted, and then repeated 5 times vinyasa.
No, you don't.
Vinyasa.
Try to survive.
And then after that, back to Tadasana, and then downward dog, resting maybe for a short while, and then it's the downward dog mandala, which is downward dog, and then to the left arm to the right arm, and then to the left arm to the right arm.
Core is quite core
And
warrior.
then 2 more forward, and then after that a downward resting dog pose for a while, and then child pose for a while, and then Kapala Bhakti, 60 breaths.
They will be crying.
And then the core
Let
is really
winter
warm up
come.
now. Then we move to downward dog, dolphin vinyasa to prepare the arms and all, because the peak pose is obviously a handstand, or maybe kick up the wall for people like me. And then after that, child pose again, short rest, and then we sit in the dasana for a while just to ground, and then we do some seated twists, all the whole series of forward bend, forward sides, then we do the series of forward bends, then we do the cobbler pose. If the ones that want to kiss the floor, they can spread their legs and kiss the floor. and then they move to shoulder stands, shoulder stands, and then plow, the fish pose. And then of course we have to make sure your spine is nice, it's supine twist, so that you erase and reset the whole body. And then maybe we do a short Sikali, and then Shavasana. And then the end. Straight to especially when they are doing the hardcore poses to the burn. And then when they feel pain, we go shine, shine, shine. And then when their arms are painful, it's like just keep reaching for the sky. That's it. That's summer for you.
Oh God.
I mean, great, thank you. Some people on the actual ovulation feel, just to add to it, just so we don't think that the whole of summer for everyone on the planet is only this mood. This mood's great, but do recognise for some people the actual ovulation, there is a little bit of a rest, a call for a little bit of a rest. You know, because it's like your body's pretty busy, you know, sending out the egg, and you kind of it's like, ooh, it's a bit much, you know. Might be a call in that might be you might on that particular day of summer you might not go there, but it's just so you know that is in your consciousness for that. You know, ovulation is also a call of a kind, you know, to react in maybe. I don't know, anyone have anything to say about ovulation, how they feel in terms of yoga practice at that stage?
I feel like what you said just now about that it's almost momentary, like on the day of ovulation.
Yeah.
But I've only noticed that now, like in the last 2 or 3 years as I got older. When I was younger, there was no, you know, like feeling that even slow down for that ovulation time. But I've definitely noticed it very recently.
It's hard to now. It's like now, it's the thing. It's like ovulation in your 40s.
You feel more sensual and just like more flowy.
Yeah, so it's nice to. So you might also go another way with the summer class and make it in a more. You may make it a little bit, juice it up a bit. You know, summer.
Belly dance.
In a different. So the mixed class. You know.
Or like really a flow, like a faster one where you really flow, where you can move your hips, where you can flow from one side to the other, because in my experience with the work, the summer is actually, even though it's all sunny and bright and what we talked about, but for many women it's actually not, because being this sensual woman and being seen and being out there does not really communicate with what is expected from us as being a lady also. There's also some tension, and I've met a lot of women who actually struggle to be the sensual woman in their summer. So I would probably, and I'm one of them, so I can relate. So, but then having a sensual flow that shows you you're strong, the strength, because it's a bit tougher one, might be a very nice one. I would probably cry after that class.
Whenever I think of summer, I just think of our friend Silpa and her embodied flow. Silpa's one of the most sensually embodied people I've ever met. And you know, everything she does is summer, and you know, it's just like
who's that?
You know, I don't know, it's like I just try. I was just saying, where's your via negativa? You know, like, it's just like. But it's very, you know, I did her like embodied feminine flow movement course, and you know that was for me summer. It was, you know, the pleasure factor and you know moving, and maybe also I find in that stage like you know it might also be the timing for, you know, where you, I mean, imagine you were teaching a whole class of summer people who are in summer, but you would like give them a little bit of a freestyle. Like, you know how you do that? Maybe does anyone do that in your classes?
2 minutes, whatever you want.
You know, the 5-minute free flow. So that might be a good time for that, because it's like I really feel like, you know, I really want to go to Women's Dance Temple, please. You know, so with the pleasure, you know, the pleasure and. So, you know, there's different ways. That's what we're saying. You know, it's not like, you know, there's any set sequence for spring, but it's like there are vibes, you know. So one and one vibe, but yeah, why not? Okay, so
Right.
we've left Via Positiva and now we're entering our Via Negativa. So how do we play it?
Hello.
Welcome to the dark side.
We've got
Our floor is not that dark. I don't know why.
Oh, we got
Okay.
So I just because we're talking about the autumn, our flow is gonna be love your yoni, just a little bit more flow. Just a long theme. So actually that we just divide into like 4 parts. The first 10 minutes more or less is gonna be start with the seated goddess position, and we just come up with the theme of what is the autumn is and why you have to love your unit just a little bit more.
Love yourself.
Love yourself.
Love yourself.
Love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. Let yourself go down to love yourself. It is more plus with some like the body scanning, and after that, in a second one, is going to be the gentle hip opening. Since that we need to protect all kind of the cramp during the menstruation, so in this hip opening, going to be the single leg, seated, and do such thing, and have that the counter pose, the one that we have. The mermaid. We have the legs opening, and this one we've been talking either that we also have an option. Can be that the tabletop pose, or can be the modify, the cat cow. Just anything that how they feel that is good for them, because again that in this autumn flow is going to be give an option for them. And in the class we always that you don't need to use the energy or 100%.
Okay.
Just use it how you feel.
Yeah. Good.
This is
Very
cool.
good.
And then come to this one is also including that the hip circle as well, because since you want to love yourself and your unit just a bit more. And come to the third part is going to be the gentle flow. We might start from the sensation. 12 rounds might be too much for them. Either that 4 rounds or to 6 rounds. Yeah. And then we're talking that we add up to the flow like a 3 pose, the triangle pose, the side angle pose, and or that the counter pose, the twisted one. All of this we're gonna plus with the breathing exercise into. Instead of the hand can be here, the hand can be more to here. Anything that let them remind themselves to love their body, to love their own goddess. I just add up. And this one is gonna be already around 20 minutes to 25 minutes. Depend if we not forget all those that we write down. And come to that, the last part is gonna be the breathing and meditation. So now we might come back to again either that the Shavasana pose or could be the seated goddess position one more time, hummingbee, pranayam, and come back to the theme of what is this the autumn like, and start to feel that you love yourself, hugging yourself. So we have the word just give yourself more love, warmness, and tenderness. Yeah, feel protected. Yes.
Held.
And yes, you're healed and feel that you are already in a safe place. Yeah. Anything extra? Anything extra?
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And let's cover the mirrors.
So this
Oh,
is
yeah,
the one
yeah.
winter.
Remove the scales.
Yeah.
From the gym. Okay. Okay, so now we're in our red tent flow, winter flow.
So we're taking it really slow. We're debating a bit if we put any movement, any poses at all. But we said probably on a day 2 or 3, you will want to move a little bit. So we said we start with reclined goddess pose with 5-minute guided meditation, and would then from there go into some yogic breathing, do some Gamapi for another 5 minutes, and then we would start with gentle stretches or sitting down. Start with the neck, rotate the shoulders, arm side bends, like very, very gentle twists. some Paschimottanasana, cat cow variation where you still with your legs straightened out and just move your back. Do some hip rotations the way they feel good, and then from there we would move into 2 moon salutations, so 2 each side. Very gentle, very slow, and end the moon salutation in Mayurgasana or in Balasana, whatever feels good, and use the last half an hour for a Yoga Nidra. Yeah. For the for the language, we've been very creative. It's all very gentle. Be kind to yourself. There is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do. Welcome home to yourself. Feel grounded. Feel held by Mother Earth. Release everything that no longer serves you. Allow new energy to nourish you, to fill you with love. Open yourself to receive. Also remind us throughout that you are enough, and to allow yourself to relax, let go, and also to breathe into your womb.
Very good. Great. Thank you, Winter.
For me, it's just the moon salutation itself. Any time I see it, it's a different combination of movements. So I don't really know what that is.
There are certain movements that are common.
Okay.
Unless they're a male hatha yogi teacher.
Yeah, I mean,
because they see people, you see people doing, you see people calling moon salutation exactly the sun salutation with Anjanyasana. That's not it.
That's not a moon salutation.
That's not a moon salutation.
Like the way I showed you today, is like you start on a horizontal plane, and then you basically you can do the goddess stuff. I won't do any deep bending here. I'll just show you shapes. So you do the goddess stuff or not as a start, and then you turn and you do things on a side orientation. So, for example, triangle, and then in order to get to Anjaneyasana, you come into this orientation. So some people do a pyramid before that, which is more active, and then you basically are dropping down. You can do Anjaneyasana shapes there, whichever one, and then you're transitioning to a Skandasana. Some people do the Skandasana from side to side, that kind of stuff, and then you basically have to get yourself back to the same position, the starting position. So, something like that as a transition.
Yeah, and then you have to face
and
sideways
then
again.
you're coming again to face in the side orientation. You're coming up, and you can go ahead and go into more goddess stuff.
So it's a more transverse sequence instead of a frontal.
So it's like, and also the transition from up to down is very easy because you're going like that.
Instead of doing chaturanga, up,
and
down,
then
down,
all
down,
the
which
Skandasana stuff
isn't
is
happening,
like,
and this is the important bit.
So you're not doing. There's nothing.
This is like a front and back.
And there's nothing going that way.
You wouldn't do
It's sideways.
Sideways, okay.
And the point is more hip opening, less core engagement.
More hip opening, like.
Yeah, more hip opening, less core engagement,
Skandasana
and less arm strength.
And it's actually lower to the ground, So if you do, all the Skandasana stuff, it's like a big pose, but
Well, you need to transition back to the goddess pose again, back to the start.
So
So I added to it on the first day. I added the Malasana.
Turning, you can put Malasanas,
Remember,
you're
I added
basically
Malasana and
coming
then
up in
step out again to the start position. So that's how I transitioned back. But there are different ways of transitioning. You have to get back to your wide stance, basically. Yeah, so it just depends on...
but you get the kind of like where, that's the basic concept, right, of the moon salutation.
And the point is because, let's say, either it's a full moon or you're on your moon time, the point is not to turn on the fire too much because there's a lot of water in your body. and when there's a lot of water in your body, let's say, you don't want to do that. Okay, first of all, you're heavier, and second of all, the fire and the water clashes in you, and there's an effect. Usually, it's irritability, more negativity, things like this.
So even in fall, we would want to like fall towards winter in that transitional. We would rather do this than a sun salutation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good one to see, what kind of sun salutation suits each season.
Feelings.
So,
Yeah, when this starts to happen.
maybe in this season, don't bother, to be honest. On day 1, I wouldn't do it. Day 2, I wouldn't do it either. Day 3, I might do it. I might do a few sun salutations actually. On day 3, I might do some sun salutations because when I was with one of my Ashtanga teachers, who's very, they tend to go more the hardcore side of life. But they, she's like, what I started doing was I was just like coming in. I didn't take a ladies' holiday in the sense that I didn't turn up to her self-practice sessions, because I said, look, if I stay at home, that's not a holiday for me, because it's just, my house covered in mess and whatever, and kids, and, I'd just be tidying up Lego. So, I was like, can I come and do whatever I want to do in your space? And she's like, yeah, of course, so, so I'd be there on day 1 doing that, I'd do 4 or 5 supported poses and then go home, and then day 2 would come in, do pretty much the same, and by day 3 she was like, you're not ready for sunset, she was like, I think you can do sun salutation, she's just trying to like lift me up a bit, and I was like, okay, alright. So I did do a few, and I was like, maybe it's okay, I feel, maybe day 3 it feels alright, day 3 for me is like the last day, so it's like, but yeah, if it was up to me, I'd probably do that again. But yeah, then I was like, okay, now someone's kind of egging me on a bit here, and it was like, it was actually, felt alright. So
for me in winter, I remember I used to feel very, very, very cold, to the point that I needed to wear wool socks in the summer. So I think a practice that that's a bit more warming.
You can circulate. The idea is circulation. Remember, not warming, because that will clash. The reason why you feel cold is because you have a lot of water in your body.
Okay.
What you would want to do is circulate. Circulate more, and not so much turn on the burner.
Okay.
That's very cool. And then, so sun salutations in spring, like what type of salutation do you guys want it feeling?
Oh yeah.
So gentle flow, sun salutations, so more like yoga first A. Yeah. Yoga first A. You guys can do all your B's and C's maybe. There's a C.
There's a C. There's a handstand in it. I left it out.
And you guys, I think the main salutation actually might be quite nice, and also
yeah.
Or the hippie one,
Salutation.
Not at all, or a gentle one. So.
We can do as well the Chandra Namaskar, right?
Yeah, you can, because you're slowly coming out of...
Okay, so putting all of this together, so how do you feel about where we are in our yoga world right now?
Oh, summer.
Generally, globally.
Either summer or winter.
Yeah.
So it's either
There's no in
Ashtanga
between.
Vinyasa
Or
or
yin.
restorative lie under it. Like just in my experience
Yeah.
with Dubai, it's either like hardcore flow or lie under a blanket with candles, but there's no in between. So it's like extreme summer or like extreme winter.
So now that I've seen another yoga community which is in the US,
Right.
Very different things that is going on in Dubai, and these classes are the thing to like that is yoga in the US.
Really?
With punk music. If there's no music in the class, they find it very strange.
So they do a lot of pop music in the class.
Oh yeah. I was working at a studio where I saw the rule set of the class. I was working in the reception because of the visa issues, but I saw the rule set of the class for the teachers, and they said that already 5 minutes before a class you have to turn the music on. So you want people to arrive.
But even in Dubai, they had this like,
Sounds nice music, but there was custom music. There was like kind of rappy, funky music, all sorts.
I remember.
In Dubai they had that like where they promote yoga and they would have like Guns N' Roses through the poses.
Traditional yoga skills.
So another thing which I think is worth mentioning here, because not a lot of
Like
people
yoga la vie was sort of it. Yeah.
was that 90% of the classes in the city were hot classes. There were, so all not Bikram. It was heated to 37, 38 Celsius. So like not Bikram hot, less hot, but it made everybody super flexible and super sweaty. So everybody came out, and then you do like normal vinyasa, pump handstand, kickstand, whatever in this class.
In a hot room? What?
Yes.
No, you're not. You give someone a heart attack.
You're
dying. I got him horrified.
And that's why I read articles that this is why that especially in the US you have so many yoga-related injuries now. But just imagine you release your ligaments, you go and
Justin Bieber's playing. I mean, that's gonna injure you.
So it was quite a shock, to be honest.
Okay, it's interesting to see what's going on in the world.
It's similar in London. There's like a big push towards like hot classes, to like hip hop yoga, or I once went to like what was it? It was like Britney Spears versus Christina Aguilera yoga.
So one of the most popular, and this was only a few times event. Do you know what trap rap is?
No.
This is that kind of rap which is like you can listen to only 2 minutes because this is the rhythm and that's the only rhythm it is. And it was they filled warehouses with people doing this thing with 200 people coming to this event, which the teacher is quite good. And I trained with her, but her selection of music was trap rap is popular, whatever you say in the US, so that's it.
And they're doing yoga to this?
Yeah, they're doing
yoga to trap rap.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how that's possible. So I will Google this out of pure fascination.
Yeah. What do you do?
How many of you work or want to work with private clients? Just for a show of hands. You either work or want to work with private clients. And how many of you work or want to work with female private clients?
That's all you've got, really.
Okay, it's like everyone.
So, you can't, I mean, when you deliver a group class, it can't be that, so much. So, there has to be a sort of generic class format in a group class, especially a large group class. But when you do have a private client, you're going to want to get to know where they are in the cycle of their seasons or where they are in the life stages. And it's 100% a must, that you need to know. So, for some people that might be a surprise. It's like, so tell me about yourself and, It's
actually, to share with that how important this is, that I forget who it was, but I had lunch with someone from our course last year. I forget who it was. But they were saying how they're doing private clients and how important it was to tell someone, no, there's nothing wrong with you. You're in your fall period now, so don't beat yourself up because you can't hold plank for a minute. You're perfectly fine. You're falling asleep all the time. Well, that's normal. Because people don't understand that that's actually, because they're looking for that imaginary consistency that's forced upon us. So it's really important for you, if you're doing a private class, to actually let them know, educate them also about this, because it's really important for them to know there's nothing wrong with them.
Just so you can, so you can take care of their needs. It's like part of what you will need to know about them, right? It's just an aspect of the physical world, And I do get the sense that, as women, we're probably not going to get very far with Hatha Yoga if we're battling severe monthly pain or severe premenstrual symptoms or even, you know, a combination of all those things, and you know, it's and pretending we're not, and just trying to fit into yoga in the same way as a man could. I mean, I don't know what it feels like to be a man and how consistent it really feels, but the new, you know, from what I hear, it, you know, it's not, there isn't the same wave as we experience as a woman. It's just not, you know, and the life cycle. So now we need a man to give their perspective, really. But it's
Man yogi.
So
not just a man. Man
yeah,
yogi.
a man yogi. So
they don't grow on trees either.
You know, and my teacher Umesh believes that you know, it's like the layers. When it comes to the layers of you, it's like the wisdom of the inner cycle is kind of like the trump card. You know, like whatever someone else is saying to you and telling you to do may have been informed by decades of skill and experience and knowledge and learning, but it's not particularly relevant if your own inner wisdom, which is your cyclical wisdom, is telling you something else. So if you are, I mean, and that applies to all the life stages. So, you know, if you're in your inner winter as a woman who's menstruating, there is a particular wisdom to that part of your life which is trumping everything else. And if you choose to ignore it, it becomes a problem. You know, and the same applies to like pregnancy. So yes, it's interesting to hear, you know, one yoga teacher once told me that, you know, it's kind of okay to do, you know, you can do twisted triangle, you know, what's your problem? My wife did it. And I'm like, hang on, your wife is Joanne Darby. She did a 10-minute handstand the day before she gave birth. I don't really see how much, let's not put this on the internet. But you know, it's like you got to be careful. You know, it's your own inner voice does know, and it's like this idea of like, you know, listening to your inner wisdom is number one. You know, so you know, and that kind of puts you knowing that. Doesn't cancel out other people's knowledge or other people's masterdom of the yogic traditions. And I'm not saying, and there's absolutely not the point that we have, you know, because a lot of us have just been through the learnings of the last 2 weeks at some point, either the last 2 weeks or in recent years, and learning all the wisdom of Hatha Yoga. So none of it is redundant. And you know, it's not like, oh, just forget module 1 and 2, because module 3 is much more important. It's like, no, it's like, how can the two meet? So how can you skillfully, as a woman, practice Hatha Yoga with a womb? That's it. Because unfortunately, all of the information we've had about Hatha Yoga has been written by men up until a very, the first book written by a woman was Forever Young, Forever Healthy, which kind of gives you what we've inherited. That was the Hollywood's version, you know, in Indra Devi's first book, Forever Young, Forever Healthy, and it's pretty much what we picked up on as women, you know, or, you know, let's enter, you know, the first question a woman would ask you in a yoga class, definitely in a gym environment,
how many calories?
I mean, that's just number, you know, it's like, that's definitely, and okay, fair enough, and it's like, that's just a question. So, forever young, forever healthy, that's the yoga, you know. But, you know, you have to find a way of marrying these centuries of wisdom with a womb. And there's got to be a way, you know, it's like, but we need this knowledge, it's critical and important and absolutely not, it's absolutely not enough to say don't do shadow stand when you're having your period. That's okay and interesting and relevant, but if that's all you get on your initial teacher training, and then your main work is working with women, bit of a no-brainer that's a problem, you know. So, and then, you know, we're obviously probably have to stop speaking now. But you know, the great suffering that women are experiencing is as a result of, you know, it can be. Hatha yoga is part of the problem, because if you are attempting to do hatha yoga basically as a man, the results probably will be that in Ashtanga yoga, Vinyasa yoga, women effectively do turn into a man if they practice without taking a break in the moon cycle. It's everyone now. Ashtanga yoga practitioners know that, and don't do it because it's like notorious. That if you do 6 days a week, and just bang on and don't listen at all to your womb wisdom, you will eventually end up in with a zero cycle and lose the connection to the self. It's just absolutely.
And then trying to get pregnant, forget about it.
And then
you just shut everything off.
Yeah, I mean, I could share a personal experience because last year I was like so into yoga, but my practice now is vinyasa. So hardcore classes, handstand, headstand, arm balances. So this is my practice. And last year it was like kind of I was releasing all what I have, my stress and you know I get from my job directly to the class. So it was like kind of every day, not even one day of break. After 3 months, my cycle was not regular at all. So I had to step back, and the teacher, my gyneco, first asked me what kind of like activity, physical activity do you do, and then I said it's yoga, and I flipped. I used to do it like 3 times a week or 4 times. Now I do it like up to 7 times a week. She said, you know, slow down. It's probably one of the reasons you lost all the regularity in your cycle. But now, so when I realized it and I took a break for like 2 months of like easy flow, it's back on track. So it's completely related.
Any other opinions or stories to share? Anything else you can share?
What is alarming, I think, like I've heard this from actually a graduate of ours who is in the fitness industry, and this is what she says: on my period, I work even harder because I want to feel strong. Yeah. Things like this is miseducation. That you want to just re-educate this person, say, look, you know.
Sometimes it like if you produce in the body, it helps with pain, the endorphins.
It's true. However, perhaps, I'm just saying perhaps because I don't know everyone's situation. But perhaps if, and this is my advice to her, well, she needs to love herself more. Because perhaps that if you're kinder to yourself, it wouldn't be so painful. Now, I can't say this with any definitiveness. But from my point of view, just loving yourself, being kind. This is what I mean by you get into the autumn and you don't take a step back, you start to abuse yourself, and then you get injured. Why did you get injured? Because you need to be kind. And I think trying to fit in a man's mold is not kind. You're trying to put a triangle in a square hole. Not kind. So let's try and be kind by what she said is looking at the inner wisdom.
But it's all this stuff is personal. I mean, you can't say that one woman's winter is going to look very different to another woman's winter. And I know, maybe, it's just not there's infinite variation, but there are kind of patterns and certain pieces of advice that make sense to me. But just the constant observation process is the most important. Just observing, being aware of what's going on, and that's yoga, isn't it? It's like you kind of tuning in, you know, pratyahara, you know, it's like, you know, just tuning in and you're, you know, listening in for those whispers, as you know Vanessa was saying, and whatever's speaking to you, like you know, at that particular day, you know, sometimes it's loud and clear, sometimes it's not so loud and clear, sometimes, but you know, it's like responding to the whispers, you know. Okay, so let's have lunch. Is it lunchtime?
Yes, pretty much
Yeah.
past lunch.
Yeah. So.